So I'm down Bolton today to have a look at this DAF XF Euro 6. It's apparently got a regeneration fault where it's saying regeneration required, but the DPF filter's empty. So we'll get in this truck now and see what's going on. Let's just move the steering wheel so we can see it. So as you can see on the dash, we've got regeneration required now, but an empty DPF. Now I bet you this is a HC desorb or absorb fault or something along them lines. So we'll get jaltest from Eclipse plugged into the truck now. We've got communication powers and grounds. So we'll do auto VIN identification. Euro 6 XF. And because it's an exhaust fault, it's anti-pollution for exhaust after treatment system. So as you can see, we've got a hydrocarbons value too high. This has happened 63 times. So what is a P3878 hydrocarbons value too high? Well, this is that HC fault that I was on about. So if we use our step-by-step troubleshooting, which is available through Info Plus, our step-by-step repair for this is the fault still active? If it is, go to step 2. So we'll be carrying out a regeneration with the vehicle stopped and then verify that the problem's been solved. So we can click regeneration from here. Yes, we've understood the conditions of use. Continue. So now we're going to have to bring the truck up to operating temperature. So we'll go and do that now. We'll just start the truck. With our truck now at operating temperature, we will click the tick and hopefully this will start our regeneration. So we've got to go and press this regeneration switch. So to start our regeneration, we have to now press the switch for 4 seconds. And now the regeneration starting on the dash. So as you can see now, we're starting our regeneration. We're increasing our temperatures on the before dock temperature sensor here, our before DPF and our after DPF temperature sensors. Hopefully then we'll see that this truck reaches its intermediate temperature here and then increase it to normal operating temperature, and it completes its regeneration for the customer. Let's go and see how it's doing smoke wise as it reaches operating temperature. So you might be thinking, hydrocarbons, value too high, P3878. What the hell is that? Well, if we go to OEM RMI from jaltest, which has been supplied by Eclipse Diagnostics, from here we can select our vehicle, 2015 XF Euro 6. If we go to diagnostics on our menu, from here we can search our DTC, which was 3878. So if we look at our fault code here now, hydrocarbon storage, level 2 high, a possible cause is extended idling duration longer than 10 hours. Well, I know he's been playing with the PTO on this for 6 months in the car park. So with all the PTO operation, this would have increased the hydrocarbon buildup in the after treatment system. So there we go, that's one of the advantages of using Kajali's new OEM Repair and Maintenance Information Viewer for DAF. Nice explanation of why we have hydrocarbons value too high, and the repair procedure, which is to fix it, was to regen the vehicle. So we'll just jump back onto jaltest now and refresh our fault codes. As you can see, these faults are now inactive, which means we can go and stop our regeneration. We'll just check the dash to see if it's gone off, which it has. Are you still regenerating? So we'll cancel our regeneration now. We'll just up the revs just to bring some exhaust gases through to cool it down. But yeah, fixed. We'll clear the faults with jaltest now. and we're good. So I'm in Wolverhampton today. I'm at CMH Transport. We've got a couple of issues going on this morning. As you can see, some idiot didn't film the beginning of the video with the customer's concern, but the issue here was yet again an exhaust system malfunction after having the DPF changed. So we're in EAS4 now. We'll go into fault code reading. We've got P3861, particulate filter efficiency is below the threshold. We'll have a look at that fault now on OEM RMI, and we'll go from there. We're going to jump into the new OEM RMI from jaltest and select our vehicle. This data is specific to the truck we're working on, so torque settings, technical information, you name it, it'll be on here. We're going to use the diagnostic tab here, and then we can search our systems for this particular DTC. In this case, P3681. From here we can see why it's been set, SUT levels higher than the calibrated value, additional information, possible black smoke, although the owner states this isn't the case, and also troubleshooting information to rectify this issue. You can work through this then to fix the issue, but we won't be needing this today. As for P3903, this is something that will possibly need to be addressed later, but for now, it's the DPF I'm concentrating on. Well, if you think jaltest are stepping up their game, you should check out the Talking Shop podcast, where we discuss the new dealer tool pass-through feature.
If you don't know about Central Services, essentially what we've done is our technical support team will be able to book you in with a technician to remote on with the genuine dealer tools and use your jaltest as essentially the pass-through device to program or do an ECU update. Right,
where were we? So what do I think this is going to be again? DPF seals? DPF? Who knows? The cab's over now. Let's get into this DPF. So a big telltale sign of this is there any soot on the diffuser? What do you think? So I've turned the steering and locked that over. I'm going to get the wing off now, and then we can get the clamp off and have a look at the DPF. So we've got 3 bolts to undo here to get this heat shield off. So I'll go and get a T30 to do these now. We don't need to undo them all the way. Now we've got to get the clamp off. So a 13 will undo this. Now we just need to flick the clamp off. What's behind door number 1? Well, it's not sooty in there, is it? So we'll just inspect the DPF element itself now for the seal failing. As you can see here further round, we've got soot that's gone past the seal and has contaminated the other half of the DPF where it shouldn't be. And as you can see from this seal here, it's actually broke in half. So that's where our issue's coming from. So the seal is compromised. So we're going to fit some seals properly today. Well, when I say properly, I'm going to install it the way I install it and not spend £1,000 on a tool that you'll use like once in a blue moon. So whoever put these seals on at least got them in the right order. It's just a shame that they managed to muller the seals when they put it on. So we'll take these off and we'll brake cleaner all this off and then we'll fit the seals right. Get rid of all this soot because it's only going to cause more contamination. So we want some seals. What do you think these are for? Post-it notes to say this was changed at such and such a mileage? No, these are to hold the seals in position when you change them. So we'll get these seals in position and we'll put these on. So we've got the wire one first. Then you've got your rope seal. Just be careful not to snap it. So that rope seal now has been forced down next to the wire seal, which is up against the lip on the DPF. As you can see there, that is the correct order. Rope seal, wire seal, lip. Then you need to place these over both of them in various intervals around the DPF. I always do opposites, so 12 and 6 o'clock, 3 and 9. So as long as them are in, we shouldn't have a problem. Now I'll go on jaltest now on the RMI for DAF, and I'll tell you the correct part number for the water-based lubricant that you should be spraying or putting in that exhaust for this to slide in there perfectly. Because it doesn't go in dry, it goes in lubricated, which I think is 90% of the issues with people fitting these. This will then lubricate the seal when it slides in, and then the exhaust will burn the lube off afterwards. So, like I say, there is a tool from DAF to fit these, which is the correct way to do this, but I haven't got £1 million, but I do have my dead blow hammer, and that's how I'm going to fit this now. That's how I've been fitting this for over 2 years, and I've never had an issue. This is just a time lapse, so it'll just be me fitting it really, really fast. So I can talk as much as I like, because it'll just be some shit music over there everybody moans about. Yeah. First one down, yep. So we've put the DPF in now, it's all back in and sealed correctly with new seals. We've put the cover on, we'll put the wing on now, and hopefully this will be the end of all the DPF issues. So now we've fixed our particulate filter seals, we'll clear these faults down, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. We're back down at Andrews today. We've got an AS-TRONIC ECU to change, we've got a fuel pressure fault to look at, another engine job to have a look at, so we'll get into this first and see where we go from there. So we've got the catwalk off this now. We're just going to get this AS-TRONIC ECU off the top of the box, or modulator I suppose you want to call it. We're going to have to get the air out of it first. So we're going to drain tank 4, or circuit 4 I suppose you'd call it. We can now get the air pipe off here, off the pressure regulator, get the ring of bolts off and the 2 electrical connections, and then the breather off here as well. So let's get into this. So the only thing we need out of this now is the ECU off the top of the modulator. So we're going to whip that off now. And then when we put our new modulator on, we'll just keep the old ECU, and then we won't have to program it, and it can just go straight on. Let's get these bolts out. So we've got 2 Torx bolts to go here. At the end of the day, this is just valve blocks underneath here. Everything that we care about, you've got to be careful with this now. I'll just pop these plugs off. Everything we need is in this, and we're just changing this. So this is our donor unit. Same again, ring of bolts, modulator comes off. So we've got this ECU to come off here now. Watch the plugs. We won't need this one. All that gasket. So this is our donor modulator with our valves and cylinders, air cylinders. We've got our ECU over there. That's the original. We'll get the gasket changed on top of the gearbox now. Then we'll drop this on and then line up these pistons. And hopefully it should all drop on then, but we'll see. So with the lid in position, I'm just going to check that the pistons are lined up inside. So I'm going to use the camera just to check on these. That one looks in. That ball's going to drop in there. And that one's in there. So I can push down on this and I know it's going to go into gear now. Or into neutral, I should say. So this should drop onto the detents and have some spring in it, which it does. It's always a good sign. So we'll get our ECU fitted on top now and plugged in. Then we can torque the bolts to 28 Newton meters and all will be good, hopefully. Right, so we've got 2 ribbons to plug in. One, got to drop it down a touch. 2. That'll sit on there. We've got our 2 torques to put in there to hold the ECU to the modulator. So I've just torqued them bolts down now. We've got the breather pipe to go back on here, the air pipe to come back in here, 2 electrical plugs, one from the gearbox modulator and one to the gearbox modulator to put on, and then we can build some air up. So I'll plug this one in. Amazing. We'll nip that down. If I could find me 14. Let's get this nipped up. Won't go crazy because it's aluminium. We'll clip that back on there. That's that in. That should go under there, but it's not. Let's get this started. And last but not least, these 2. These only hold the ECU together, so we won't go crazy. There is a torque setting. It's Sweet FA. Right, is she gonna go into neutral? Have I done my job? Right. So we'll just dump all the air out of the system to start, because then we've got a chance that the multi-circuit protection valve will realise that it needs to charge all the systems. What I usually find is if I drop the air supply in tank 4 and the air's up, granted there's no air in the gearbox, but then it never builds all the air up in the system until you drop the system pressure down, and then it starts going through the multi-circuit protection valve and supplies circuit 4 for air, or tank 4, I can't remember what it's called, but air's down, this should work. So if this is going to work now, you'll see an N come up on the dip here, and that means that them pistons have moved into the right positions and it's happy that it's in neutral. So if I've done my job right now, we should hear this drop into range. The N should appear on there as it drops into neutral, and this should shut up in a second. So let's see if we can hear it drop. So systems 1 and 2 are just coming up to pressure now. We should drop out of the yellow and that should disappear. We've got neutral on the dash. When I turn this off and turn it back on, we should still be in neutral, and should also go through all the gears. So that's my next step. Does it go into gear? There we go. And does it go back to neutral? And does it go into reverse? It goes into reverse. Now it's got an AdBlue dosing malfunction. Brilliant. So I'll let Andrew rip this up the road in a minute. What we're going to have a quick look at now is his AdBlue dosing malfunction fault. So we'll switch this off and get jaltest plugged in. So we'll just get jaltest from Eclipse Diagnostics plugged in and we'll go from there. Yep, everything's working. So we'll go auto VIN identification. This is Euro 6 XF. And because it's an AdBlue fault, we want anti-pollution or after treatment. Fault code reading. What faults have we got today? AdBlue metering valve, current too low or open circuit. So we've just got the driver's wing to take off now. It's 2 bolts. Once this is off, we can get to the metering valve and we can do some testing and see what the resistance is. So we'll get this off. There's always a light or something in the way, isn't there? Always a light or something. So now our wing's off, we can get to this injector. Or should I just say we can get to the wiring? So what we can do now is get our plug off the valve and we'll test it with our breakout leads, which, as you know, are available off the website. So let's get into this bit. So we'll just get these set up so we can test the component. We want a male and female and a male and a female because that's all we'll need. Then we can plug these in here. And we'll plug the other 2 in the valve and we'll test it for resistance. So I've just jumped into our wiring diagrams for EAS3 and we're going to look for valve because it's a metering valve. There's our metering valve. This will take us straight to the metering valve. And from here we can click on the metering valve and it should give us some technical data. Now the technical data we're looking for is resistance. It should be 11 to 18 ohms. So we'll go and look on the multimeter now and see what we're getting. So we've got our jaltest multimeter here set up to ohms. As you can see, 0. We'll put this in red and black as that's what I'm in. And this should be 11 to 18 ohms. Well, it's nothing, is it? 0.5 ohms. So I'll just test the component itself. So I'll just unplug it from the wiring harness. And now we're just in the component. 4.2 ohms. So I'd say this dosing valve's faulty. And we're going to need a new one. Well, I did do some other videos from when I was down at Andrews. I've got that non-runner going, but I've also run out of time to edit them. So I guess you'll have to wait till next week for them videos. This week I've got a DAF LF with a DPF issue to go and look at, a MX fuel pressure issue to do in Manchester, a knock-in engine and fuel pressure issues to do in Burton-upon-Trent, and a BPV issue over in North Wales. So we'll see what makes it into next week's video. As always, please like the video if you thought it was a good video. If you're not subscribed, you best do that on the next screen. And watch this video if you want more from me. And I'll catch you next time on Truck Tech UK.